Hey, I wanted to do a movie review. Wow. I just watched The Unforgivable. It was produced by Sandra Bullock, and she's one of the major stars in it. It's man, but once you get teary eyed at the beginning, this is a spoiler alert. So don't watch if you don't want to hear about this movie. But she had a sister, and her sister was 5 years old, and her dad died, and she was left in a farmhouse, and she was raising her sister, and she was talking, it was real heated drama, and she had a gun trying to defend her property. They were going to evict her out because, they couldn't pay for the house. Well, the whole movie, you think it's all Sandra Bullock's fault. But her sister was 5 years old and took the gun, and when the sheriff come in, the little girl killed the sheriff. So it's a spoiler alert. So he was gonna let them come live with him and let them stay, so they had a place to go. And the little girl was so traumatized she didn't remember it. So it was so much love and power that Sandra Bullock let herself take the blame, served 20 years in prison for a cop killer, treated bad, beat up all the time, and finally she gets out like a halfway house, gets a job. Um, she's a carpenter, real good at that, but nobody to hire. They put the word out, so she gets a job in a smelly fish place, working hard. And the guy that used to play in Walking Dead, Shane, he also played in The Punisher. He befriends her and kind of becomes her boyfriend. And then when she confesses to him, he doesn't know what to say, because he's an ex felon too. So felons aren't supposed to associate together. I guess in case they want to, the law and the system, maybe they'll go on a crime spree together, even though they're reformed. So she was innocent this whole movie and dealt with this, and it turned her hard where she had to, fight or be beat up. So she's in the halfway house. She's working two jobs. She hears some saws. So she goes in like a little church and starts doing carpenter work. And she goes to her old house. And it just so happens they let her in because, they were curious why this lady's out in the yard. So the guy happens to be a lawyer, you know, and she picked it up because he said pro bono, and he's married and has two kids. And they found the shoes inside the wall because they're about the third family that's owned this house since she lost it years ago, in 20 years. And they were remodeling it and doing everything. But she did a lot of carpentry work, and they kept a lot of original carpet work. But there's the sheriff had two sons and a wife, and the wife's real sick. And one of the sons is a little kind of really angry, and he said, "Man, she's just living her life, and nothing happened." Talks to the older brother. So the older brother is kind of wanting to stay out of it and says, "Man, it's beyond." He said, "Well, you got your perfect life," the younger brother. So they're trying to come up with a way to get back at her. So the older brother is kind of more responsible, goes and sees her at the mission when she's working at church by herself, and talks to her, and he asked her about her parents. She said, "Well, life goes on." So he looked at it like she didn't have no remorse for killing his dad, even though he didn't know it was her sister that did it. So he's angry, and the other brother goes back home, and he's trying to figure all this out, what to do. So the other brother goes and he's sleeping with his wife, the one that had the anger issue. So the responsible brother comes home, beats his brother up, and just kind of flips out. And he says, "Well, I'm gonna go get somebody that deserves it." So he figured he'd take revenge because his whole life's messed up. He's blaming Sandra Bullock for all his problems, you know. So he kidnaps there's a family that adopted Katie, which is Sandra Bullock's sister. They adopted her, and she don't remember hardly anything. She was traumatized, and she has like little snidbits, but she can't really remember all the details. And so she has a sister. Well, she has the family that adopted her has a daughter that's the same age as Sandra Bullock's sister. So the guy that's married, kidnaps her. He calls Sandra Bullock to meet her. And then the lawyer's wife really despised her, said, just thought she was filth because she thought it was her problem. And then when she was arguing with her, she said she was 5 years old. 5 years old. And then she said, wait a minute, what happened? So she realized she listened to her. And then, so she goes out here, and the guy's just wanting to kill her because he thinks she killed his dad. But she's just being calm and said, you'll never forget it. Your life's over when you do this. And so he kind of comes to reason, and he just realizes, he just sitting there with a gun in his hand, and she unties the little girl and gets out, and the SWAT team comes, and they throw her on the ground like she's garbage. And her parole officer comes and gets her out of the car, and the little girl's over there with her parents at the ambulance. And she was going to see her sister, Katie, at the piano recital. This is the end of the movie. And the little girl just goes over there and just gives Sandra Bullock a hug, and it just like a healing hug that could heal pain of all ages. And the parents just don't look and not say anything. Like, hey, you saved my daughter. You must be okay. So I think eventually, if they made a part 2, which I don't see why they would, but, maybe an update on Instagram, saying that she got to see her sister and reunite. But, her little sister, 5-year-old, she was trying to do what she thought, and she didn't know right from wrong at that age. And you could even see the big old imprint on her cheek where the shotgun kicked her in the face. And but just a powerful story of love and a sacrifice of what you'll do for somebody you love. And man, it's Sandra Bullock. I hadn't seen her in a movie in a while, but The Unforgivable, I had to give it at least 9.5 stars out of 10. It's she didn't even hardly, I don't even think she wore makeup in the movie, and she looked, down and out. And everybody, because of her rap sheet, they just treated her like dirt. But she sacrificed 20 years of her life just to save her sister all this trouble. And man, what a movie. I highly recommend. I hope I didn't spoil it for you, but it's a real good movie. And even had Shane in it from The Walking Dead, and he was they're working in a fish plant, but he's driving a nice truck. Trucks are expensive, so if you can drive a truck, you got to maybe make him pretty good. And Shane, he was in a band, so he had kind of a rock and roll band, and he had one of those old timey, like out here, mustaches, like the old Western. So it was kind of, it was cool, man. But that's my take. The Unforgivable. Even though she shouldn't have been not put in that situation to be unforgivable. But if you like the review, thank you for watching. Don't forget, subscribe. As soon as I get my memory card, I'll post a video about giving a dog shots, where we went and take him to get shots. Hopefully, I'll be able to get the memory card out. But if you got any recommendations for cell phones, who I should go with, let me know. Probably November, the Tesla Pi is coming out, but that's a long time to wait when I need a phone now. But thank you for watching. Stay cool.